I'm Kay Capps-Cross, and I'm a quilter, designer, teacher, author, and I absolutely love this world of quilting that I've kind of fallen into. When I was in high school, I loved to work with fabric and texture, did that old-fashioned macrame, made some batiks, made my own fabrics, and then I would design wall hangings. I actually even did a batik ape. He hangs in my studio. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with him yet, so if you have any ideas, let me know. But he is hanging in my studio still. After I left working with fibers in high school, I went on to music school. I was a little afraid to go to art school because I didn't feel like I could draw. Well, fortunately for me, I found a way that I can draw. I went to music school, got a degree in theater, and then started raising a family. I have 4 children, and when I was making some dresses for my 2 little girls, I went into this shop that was downtown, and it was called a quilt shop, and I had no idea what that was. But it looked like there was some fabric there, so I thought maybe I can get some of the foundation or the interfacing that I needed for the collars of their dresses. So I went in there, and what I found was amazing. I had no idea that a place like that existed. A place with all of the colors, all the fabrics, all the threads, ready to be made into something wonderful. Well, I went in there and I did find the interfacing, but I found a whole lot more too, and I actually have never left there. Started designing quilts after I started taking some classes and figuring out how to do this quilting stuff. Started designing and found my love, which is working in black and white. I love the simpleness of the designs I can get in black and white. I like the purity of the designs, and I like to see what happens when I play with black and white. I've got 3 books out and my 4th one coming out, and they all deal with black and white quilts. This particular quilt is called Balinese Beauty, and I first made it in color. I loved the way these fabrics played together and were so soft and blended. And I thought, okay, I want to make this in black and white, but am I going to be able to do that? Am I going to be able to get that softness? So I tried it, and I went to my crown jewel and I said, what can I do? How can I quilt this to help it make it softer? I quilted out those little tips in there, softened the edges, and it worked out just how I wanted it to. With the crown jewel, I found that element of art that I thought I wasn't able to do or was afraid to try. The things that I can do with that machine, I would never be able to do with pencil and paper, ever. It's been such a wonderful surprise to me. I said I sometimes like to do things in color, and this particular quilt, Banana Balm, is one that these fabrics appeared at my door. A fabric company sent them to me, and I needed to create something for them. Well, they looked very tropical to me, so I made a banana tree. Then I looked at another stack of fabric laying there and created one, same design, completely different. This one has a little bit more grown-up feel. Then I thought, can I do this same quilt in black and white and still have it be a successful quilt? So I tried it, and it's my favorite one yet. What I love best about this one is that I took the elements of the fabrics, added them together, same design, and then when I machine quilted it on the crown jewel, I added all of this texture. I have amazing control on that machine that I would never have on my regular home machine. I can make tiny little things, big things. I can add all the layers of texture that I want. That texture that I was playing with in high school, now I can add to my quilts by using the long arm quilter. I can also do some fun little things. I like to hide surprises in my quilt, and the crown jewel allows me to do that. If you look at this quilt is nothing more than some scraps left over from another quilt. But if you look in there, there's a couple of fish hiding. Now, I couldn't draw that, couldn't do it at all. But for some reason, I'm able to do that with the crown jewel, and I can draw on my fabric. This next one is one of my very favorite quilts. When I first started designing, I went with simple, basic shapes. Was afraid to branch out too much. I was already getting pretty risky working with only black and white. So I took these shapes and started twisting them. This is an experiment on taking an hourglass block and twisting it and shaping it. Well, I found this little piece of fabric, I think it was probably somebody's dress or something that they had cut out. I think it had an armhole cut out and it was just a little shoulder piece. So I had very little of it. But what I loved about it was this lady right here. This wonderful woman is standing there full of joy, her arms outspread. And I got to stick that in my quilt. Not only does it add beauty in the fabric, it adds another texture and another piece of my life. Back after high school, when I was studying music, I studied to be an opera singer. And when I look at that fabric, it just fills me with all that joy of being on stage and singing. And I just gotta do it for you. Okay, that's enough. But this lets me add that wonderful part of my life into the quilt. Not only do I have the texture of the layers of the quilt, I've got stories of my life in each and every quilt I do, and I'm able to finish each piece myself because I've got the crown jewel. I'm able to quilt it just as I want to, and I don't have to depend on anyone else to finish my art for me.